We have not begun. My grandfather was born in Georgia, my mother's father, with the name Artis Theodore Roosevelt McCuskey. When he moved up to Ohio in the 1920s, he changed his name to Otis Mack. Most of them born McCuskeys in Georgia changed their name to Mack. So my brother told me this story. I do not believe that it is true. So I'm going to let you know that ahead of time. My brother said that my grandmother was explaining to him why there were McCuskeys and Macks in our town. The McCuskeys would hold a family reunion. No Macks would be invited. The Macks would hold theirs, and no McCuskeys would be invited. According to him, those who changed their name were so dumb that they could not spell McCuskey. So they would stand, and they figured that if they stood on the corner and waited long enough, a Mack truck would come by and remind them how to spell their name. Now, I knew my grandmother 13 years longer than he did. She never told that story, but I think it's funny. And I do a riff off of it because people will tease me a lot because I carry all kinds of Wilson things. I have 2 Wilson bags here. I have a Wilson hat. I'm wearing Wilson socks. And I will say, sometimes, if I don't want to get into the real reason I do it. I'll know when I'm senile how to spell my last name. All I have to do is take the hat off and I can see Wilson on there and I'll be all right. So, that's not the real reason I do it. I do it to remind myself that I want to redeem a name that my father ruined and that his father ruined. And I try to keep that in mind all the time. I also bring this cup with me when I'm at board meetings and when I'm speaking because it has my 4 sons on it. And usually the only other black men in the room are my sons on that cup. We're almost there now. This morning, I've been doing a lot of work on police oversight. 3.5 years, as I shared with you, I guess it was Monday. First things I saw today were the police chief sent me 2 videos. That's not exactly the way you want to start your morning, but anyway. Yesterday I received some very detailed emails from what shall I call them? Activists, a Latina and a European American, about an incident that occurred in Ann Arbor where I live. It's a burden to carry those things. It's a burden to have people send you videos of people being murdered, and several times a week, and them think that you're going to look at it, because I'm not. All I need to know is that it happened, and I have no intention of putting that much toxicity into my body, my spirit. We have been looking at the book of James. If I had my way, we would be spending several hours doing it, maybe a course. So I can't honestly say that we are studying. I am cherry picking, choosing what I want to choose, and I'm framing everything before I do it with one of my psalms. And I'm going to begin with Psalm 104. In the shadow of steeples purportedly dedicated to you, they monger fear and victimize the outcasts. We are one in the spirit, although divided in narratives. Help those who claim to have accepted the universal call to love one another. Honoring life includes restoration of scandalized reputations, as well as destroyed lands. May we imagine in our songs of unity, Eden's splendor returned. James wrote in his 3rd chapter, I'm reading verse 5 and 8. So is the tongue only a tiny part of the body, but it can proudly claim that it does great things. Nobody can tame the tongue. It is a pest that will not keep still, full of deadly poison. So is the tongue only a tiny part of the body, but it can proudly claim that it does great things. Nobody can tame the tongue. It is a pest that will not keep still, full of deadly poison. Now, I chose this, I don't know, months ago. The video that I saw this morning that I referred to happened 2 weekends ago. There was a call made by a white person to 911 saying that a black man was armed and was threatening people. The police chief sent me the video that I saw. And in the video, what you see is a number of whites pointing this way, trying to tell them where to go to arrest this person. They tried to stop 3 blacks, men, very well-built gentlemen, and those guys don't want to stop. A white guy jumps on him, pins him to the ground, and says that I'm a policeman. Tells him to get on his knees, and he said, show me the badge, and he's not showing him the badge. The cop, only one cop is there at first. So finally, a number of cops come. They arrest 3, they put handcuffs on them. They claim they didn't arrest them. But they put handcuffs on 3 blacks and they did nothing to any of the whites. There were no guns. And it just so happened that there was another video that was being taken. And that video was being taken by a young black man who came and spoke to the Police Oversight Commission. The last meeting we had was Thursday. So that tongue has all of the community up in arms. That lie. That series of lies from a series of people with our history, and this is the 4th of July. I can't remember the last time I got to speak on the 4th of July. I think that Frederick Douglass bombed the 4th of July in 1848 when he was allowed to speak. I think it was in Rochester. And people had no idea what he was going to do. And later on, I'm going to bomb it. Here's a query for James, written long before I knew I was going to be here on the 4th of July. Are you careful in self-disciplining your speech? Are you careful in self-disciplining your speech? I asked for a meeting with Police High Command last week, and I met on Friday. I said, if the officer would have killed that young man, there would not even have been a trial. You know it, and I know it. Because all they had to do was say that they feared for their lives. And in the United States of America, there would not have been an indictment, even though there was no gun. I don't know a black person who has no relatives, friends, acquaintances, who has not been abused in such a manner. We all carry post-traumatic stress. We all carry it. But we never deal with that, even if it did not happen to you. And if it happens to you in front of your children, then you have also lost great face in front of your children. But we never deal with that. I explained that I want a public apology because the young man was humiliated publicly. And it's my understanding that impersonating an officer is a criminal offense. I told my wife that, she's an attorney, and she said, well, I'm not sure you're right. You better watch out before you tell him that. Well, I didn't go to law school, but being a black man, I know you cannot impersonate an officer, and that it is a criminal offense. But because she said, look it up, I did. Lord help us. Psalm 93. Without fear of slipping, your invisible servants, the angels, skip on icy grounds, where no trail is nor ever was. At times we have suffered mightily throughout our period on earth. We, your ordinary people, have been rescued when it seemed we were on the point of annihilation. Always we have risen gloriously, stepping in the footsteps of the angels. Thank you for our heroic ancestors. We especially honor those who acted against their previous high stories, surprising many by uncovering their true greatness. We are peacemaking soldiers, carrying weapons of construction, led by a tricolored flag, beaming love, unity, compassion. Now, I wrote this book before the present administration came into office. It often doesn't feel that way, but I'm not pointing anything at this administration because this has been our story in this country. James says, verse 18, chapter 3, peacemakers, when they work for peace, sow the seeds which will bear fruit in holiness. Peacemakers, when they work for peace, sow the seeds which will bear fruit in holiness. The query, how do you actively work to bring about peace? How do you actively work to bring about peace. So in the middle of the night, it occurred to me that this is the 4th of July. It's been, through almost all of my life, it's been a very hard holiday for me. So I decided I'm going to jump out of order and I'm going to go to a song that I wrote much later than this book. Set some background for you. My sixth great grandfather, Jacob Crispin, was a Quaker who joined the Free Quakers because he fought in the Revolutionary War. When I write historical fiction, I deal with that particular phase of our family history. I don't know why he did it, but I have his child say the reason he did was because he thought that everybody was going to be free if they won. I hate it when people say, walk a mile in their shoes and maybe you can understand. I can't take my shoes off. I wear my shoes in the bed. I wear my shoes in the shower. I wear my shoes when I'm holding babies. I cannot take my shoes off. What can you learn walking a mile? Not much. I went to the channel the first time I heard this. I must have been 2nd, 3rd grade. We're studying slavery. teacher explains that when it came to building this nation, blacks were counted as 3/5 humans in the slave states. Now, some of the white kids looked at me, and I'm trying to look straight ahead, because my mother said, never let them see you sweat. Now I'm sweating in here while I'm being called 3/5 a human being. The teacher didn't tell us that they couldn't vote anyway. Now, what do we know about voting? We knew our parents voted. I knew my mother worked for the Democratic Party. She's the first volunteer I knew, but that's all I knew. I was a grown man before I realized, in doing research, that blacks also could not vote in the North, in Ohio, in this one of my home states. That we had to put up a $500 bond, not only here, but in most of the Midwestern states, in the event that we might get into trouble. We already had our bond money up there. Man, that's why we're still seen as suspects. Why I can go into Ann Arbor's library, look at some used CDs, and when I'm leaving, instead of the woman looking in my face, old as I am, and saying, good afternoon, she's looking at my hands to see if I stole a 50-cent CD. I didn't know that we could not testify against a white person in Ohio. I didn't know that my fourth great grandparents, Sarah and Charles Ferguson, escaped slave, Scots-Irish Quaker. Their marriage was not legal. But when I learned that, sure, they don't teach you this stuff in school. So, and I took Ohio history 3 times. I took it in lower school, I took it in middle school, I took it in college, because I started in Miami before I transferred. So when I'm writing historical fiction, I have his mother say, honey, you know that the marriage will not be legal. And she says, it doesn't matter to us. We consider ourselves wife and husband because the marriages in the South among slaves also were illegal. Every last one of us had an illegal marriage down there. And you know the reason why, I'm sure. The reason that those marriages were illegal was so that people could be sold apart and the masters could still feel as though they were good Christians. And I have the will of my third great grandmother on my mother's side, where her family is being sold apart, and she's 12 years old. I'm not going to come all the way up to the 21st century, but I am going to come up to when I was General Secretary of NPC. And I learned last year that I'm the only person of color to be General Secretary of NPC, that there has never been there's never been a presiding clerk who was a person of color in FTC. So I'm General Secretary, and the clerk of the Personnel Committee comes into my office, and she sees a new picture that I have of my family. And she says to me, you sure do have your head up high, held high. And I'm thinking like, man. I didn't explain to her how much it cost me to learn how to keep my head up high. How much did it cost my mother? I didn't explain that to her. Same person told me later on that she didn't like the way I walked. Now I can't change the walk. Old age is changing it. But can you imagine going now 40 years, every time I have a picture taken, and I have one with one of my former students yesterday and her child, in my head is my head being held too high. Psalm 2:30. Help the outliers to whom the insiders have told bold-faced lies. The people fear to tread where angels are obscured and evil laughs at will. Embolden us all to take a chance at love in the face of disdain, to open our doors when the world seems closed, to offer a helping hand when an inmate is freed. We are so much more than we choose to be. May we let greatness show as you intended, from womb to tomb. Here is James, 4th chapter, verse 14. Don't slander each other. Anyone who slanders or condemns those working for the same holy cause is speaking against the whole. Don't slander each other. Anyone who slanders or condemns those working for the same holy cause is speaking against the whole. We had no rights that the white man had to respect. You know that's a direct quote from the Supreme Court, because we were not human beings. That was a slander that was used. But in looking at that, how do we avoid slandering each other? Love is the first motion. Did I steal that from somebody? I deviated from what I had been doing the previous days. I will try to be more disciplined tomorrow. I think we have 2 minutes. I'm going to say after others want to say anything, but I think we have time for one person to make a statement or a question, ask a question before we leave this place.
Amen.
Last summer, I was wearing a white t-shirt. It was almost as hot as it's been this week, with a flag on it. And one of my dear friends said, "I can't believe you're wearing that flag." And I said, "I'm an American too, and I'm not going to let anybody steal this flag from me. It ain't happening. It ain't happening." Now, am I ashamed of what we've done to each other, whether that be black, white, Native American? I am totally ashamed of how we have behaved. But I'm also totally ashamed of how my father behaved as a father and how his father behaved. And I spent my life trying to redeem that last name, and I'm also trying to redeem America. Thank you for indulging me, and